Think back to how you were raised when you were a boy. A boy's masculine essence is developed by their parents. You look back to those crucial years with a sense of insecurity because you might not have had the nurturing that you needed to develop yourself into becoming a man. But Jeffrey will argue with you. Jeffrey will say that it's not only okay for you to be feminine, it's encouraged, that you should be less masculine. The Jeffreys of the world try to convince young men that it's okay to be complacent, to be weak, to be addicted to instant gratification, to not be competitive, to not be aggressive, to not have some kind of sexual essence inside of them. But if you listen to Jeffrey, you'll end up having a life exactly like him. Our leader Adonis suggests something different for you. He looks at you, a young man striving to become better, a young man trying to improve himself, and he respects that. He's attracted by that. Why? Because Adonis needs more developed men in his tribe. Being masculine and strong doesn't really come naturally to me, because when I was younger, my dad was working quite undesirable, stressful, dangerous jobs. He wouldn't be home for most of the day, and then when he would come home, he would just kind of watch TV and drink. And the times that my dad did try to develop me, he would take me to his cricket club, it would have helped me become more masculine, but I had so much resistance to that because I was already being raised by my mother to be more feminine. And this is no disrespect to my mother or any other mothers who have taken the responsibility of raising a boy, because they're doing what they think is best. But you have to understand that a feminine person generally cannot raise a masculine person. So my mom was really protective of me, and I remember we used to live in Liverpool at a time when it was really racist. I would have been about 10 years old in primary school, and there was a lot of racist incidents. Anthony Walker, you can Google this name, Anthony Walker was brutally murdered 1 mile away from our house, and that's when it started getting serious. Our house is getting attacked, my sister's getting attacked, my sister's getting bullied, I'm getting bullied. It was a very dark time for our family's life, and I remember that really made my mom very anxious, and so she was always overprotective of me. She didn't want me to go outside. If I did go outside, I feel she had to be watching over me, and that kind of personality stayed inside of her to be really protective and motherly. And so I never really got that sense of adventure and boisterous personality as I was growing up. And the times that my dad did try to develop that into me by taking me to the cricket club or doing certain things with me which was kind of dangerous, like climbing trees, I always was resistant, and my mother was really resistant, and she'd shout over and say no, it's not safe, and I'd end up listening to her because I bonded well with her. And so for all of my teenage years, I was a soft, weak little boy. I was skinny fat, I had a lot of symptoms of low testosterone. I hit puberty very late. I literally remember how embarrassing and insecure this used to make me feel, that everyone else in my high school class had developed and gotten taller and more muscular with deeper voices and facial hair, and I literally still look like a 10-year-old boy when I was 15 years old. I wanted to be more masculine, I wanted to be taken more seriously, and quite frankly, I wanted to start dating and sleeping with girls when I got to age 17, 18, but I felt I was behind the game. Back then, there was no guides, no YouTubers talking about how to be more masculine, because it wasn't really such a talked about thing. If right now you're not totally convinced that being more masculine would be a good thing for you, just ask yourself this very important question, and this might actually give you an existential crisis. If you had no social conditioning whatsoever, no influence from media or politics, would you be more masculine? If you're a young man watching this, I would say the answer is yes, 100% you would be. I've questioned this. I'm a very introspective person, so I've questioned a lot of the actions that I take, the desires that I have, and I question this goal of becoming more masculine. I literally ask myself, is this authentic? Because I'm saying to be something more that I'm not currently. Surely that's inauthentic, isn't it? And I said, no, you know why? It's actually being authentic, because I should naturally be more masculine. The modern world around us has convinced men that we don't need to be masculine, that we should be more feminine. You see so many more sort of social media politically correct posts of saying men should cry, men should do all these feminine things, but you see a lot less of the traditionally right thing by telling men, yes, you should be masculine, because that's what makes you into a man. So I want to explain masculinity to you in a very understandable, no BS, practical way that you might have never heard before, because it's such a vague topic. A lot of people will talk about it, but they'll never give you specific autistic literal things that you can do to be more masculine. And we need to begin by first explaining exactly what masculinity is. So masculinity is this energy inside of you that is goal striving. It's the part of you that focuses on the mission, the objective. And this is different, even the opposite of the part inside of you that is feminine. The energy of the feminine is all about joy, love, creation. You have inside of you both masculine and feminine. And so to be more masculine, the easiest, no BS, literal practical step that you can take right now is to set goals and achieve them. To set goals and obsess over them. The masculine obsesses over the goal, and when one goal is conquered, he moves on to the next and the next and the next. Think about how the most masculine men live in Adonis's tribe. They have the goal, collect firewood, and so they focus on collecting firewood. What do the feminine women and even some men think about instead? They're not thinking, okay, the goal is collect firewood. They're thinking, oh yeah, you know, the sunset looks really pretty. Let's look at the sunset. Let's dance. The masculine man keeps his mind on the goal. Collect firewood. We need it. He collects the firewood. Mission accomplished. Next goal, bring the firewood back to the camp. Next goal, light the fire. Next goal, gather everyone around. Make sure everyone is here. Make sure everyone is warm. Next goal, make sure the meat is getting cooked. Next goal, let's train. Next goal, let's attract one of the women. Next goal, let's have sex. Next goal, let's reach ejaculation so we can impregnate this woman. The masculine is always focused on goals. The way that we have sex as men is always goal orientated. For women and feminine people, their sex isn't goal orientated. They're not obsessing over like the point of ejaculation as a man is. For women and feminine people, they're enjoying the expression of love and connection throughout the entire session. So ask yourself this question right now: how goal orientated are you? You might think you're like very, very goal. Oh, that's where I am, Hamza, but be honest. Do you wake up and one of the first things you do is recap your goals? Do you have a place to recap your goals? Do you have your goals written down? Adonis says that one of the best things that you can do as a young man on self-improvement is to write down your goals and to read them every single morning, to rewrite them, to obsess over them. Something magical happens when you put your intention into some big, worthwhile goals. And now the rest of your developments into becoming more masculine can all be fit inside of setting these goals, because this is such an easy way to think about it. Masculinity is all about being goal striving. It's all about the mission. Set goals, obsess over them, and just make sure that your goals make you more into the man that you want to be. So this is where that sort of like conventional, like I didn't want to spend much time on this, you know, that advice of like, oh, lift heavy weights. Number 2, like, spend time with friends. I don't want to give you the basic advice that everyone else is going to give you. Like, oh, number 3, like, work hard. Because as long as you set goals on the things that will develop you into the man that you want to become, then you will become more masculine just by the act of setting goals, and also by the act of making progress into the parts of life that will develop you into the man that you want to be. And so developing yourself into the man that you want to be generally will come down to things like being able to provide, so making money in this modern day, so a business or a career. As a man, you'll also want to feel that you can protect those that you love. This is less important in the modern day because we live in quite safe times and we have the police to help us, but it still does something very nice for a man when he knows that he can fight and he can protect himself, that he's strong. And so this is where you can join a martial arts club, and then you can even develop your sense of brotherhood. I'm here in Thailand right now with 2 of my best friends, and the level of brotherhood and masculinity that's been developed inside of us because we're around each other, we're challenging each other, is immense. I'm gonna have a full video on how to be less feminine, which I think is equally as important as this one. So look for that on my channel, it'll be released soon. You can subscribe to our channel if you want to. Welcome to the cult, do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.